Welcome to Virtual Japan as we are here today for round number 6.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Fultz. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona and away. Go for the first time, Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Doms, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now as we've got 3-wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Spark Truck Series here at the Spark Racing League. We are at Darlington Raceway, getting ready to watch our Wednesday night Titans do battle. As always, I'm your host, James Eastwood, Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Bring the action to TDP 60 frames a second, as it looks like qualifying is just about wrapped up here tonight, and it is the crown jewel. And we're going to be able to see some big names coming out doing battle. Looks like 19 drivers out here tonight. As always, let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on. Drivers will frequently have the broadcast pulled up on a separate monitor or device, and if they don't, they just about always go back and watch this thing over again. Let's go ahead and run through the grid here today. On pole, you've got Chris Smith, the number 28. Jacob Bradley starting second. Chase Berry starting third. Johnny Rapp starting fourth. Evan Pienta starts fifth. Peter Stewart starting sixth. Abram Ghostin starting seventh. Robert Brope starting eighth. Brian Brope starts ninth. Ellis Thomas starting 10th. Bryce Gainey starts 11th. Nick Hardware Seraph starting 12th. Cycled on back. Thomas Bergeron starting 13th. Clifton Simmons starting 14th. Dave Grajewski starting 15th. Clay Sampson starting 16th. Robert White starting 17th. Steve Vest starting 18th. And Paul Thomas will round out the 19 trucks here today at Darlington for the crown jewel. Looks like we've got Colin Fogarty join us in the spectator area. Waiting for a few more drivers to set the stage. We've got 110 laps on the board here. Darlington, a deceptively difficult track. So let's see what's going to go tonight. 110 laps. Looks like all 19 drivers have set the stage here as we get ready to roll out behind our iRacing safety car. Again, that's going to be Smith and Bradley on the front row. Barry and Rapp your second row. Stewart and Pienta will make up the third row as it looks like drivers starting to get going here. Let us know out there who you're cheering on. Starting to see the spectators start to pile in here. I'm curious to see if we get some green flag runs here, some green flag pit stops. Darlington, one of those tracks that looks very wide. Really, you've got about a lane and a half to make your way around the track quickly. And once the tires start to wear for these drivers, it's going to be very tough to facilitate any passes. Safety car comes down pit road. And we are green flag racing here at the Spark Truck Series. Jacob Bradley trying to work that outside line against Chris Smith, way up against the wall. Looks like he's got that number 50 with a little bit of momentum built up. Does he make it happen on the backstretch? Looks like Smith gets a little bit loose. Gonna have to tuck in behind Jacob Bradley. Bradley was the odds-on favorite here tonight to pick up the win, but Smith is gonna try and keep him honest in the opening laps. There's Chase Berry, the number 46 machine, lagging behind in third. You can see Johnny Rapp, Evan Pienta linked up fourth and fifth. Bradley with a race lead, panning back a little bit further. There's Evan Pienta. He's tucked in on the back of Johnny Rapp here. Going to be interesting to see. Bradley sets the fastest lap of the race, has things rocking and rolling. Rapp, Pienta still linked up nose to tail, panning back a little bit further. There's Peter Stewart. He has Abram Ghostin, Brian Brobst, Robert Brobst all linked up here. As something has happened. Somebody had a big blink. I think that might have been one of the Brobst family members. Can't tell if that was Robert Brobst or Brian Brobst. I think it was Brian that might have had a big blink there. Looks like everything's going to stay nice and tight as Peter Stewart making a move up the inside line against Johnny Rapp. The Canadian piloting the number 91 machine, getting some momentum built up here. Now Rapp is going to be under fire from Abram Ghostin, the number 22. 5 laps clicked off so far. As your top three, Bradley, Smith, and Berry getting a bit of a breakaway. As it looks like Rapp uncharacteristically falling back a little bit, number 52. The field's stacking up as Abram Ghostin takes a peek to the inside line. There's also Robert Brobst, Ellis Thomas, Brian Brobst in this pack, as well as Bryce Gainey, the number 18 machine. There goes Robert Brobst working the inside line against Rapp. I wonder if Rapp's maybe backing out of it here, trying to get a long-run strategy in play. As right now, Rapp is down 5 spots from where he started. But this could be a little bit of 4D chess that Rapp is playing, trying to get other drivers to burn up their tires early in the run. That way he can come cruising along later in. Now, we're not quite sure what the fuel window is going to be for these drivers and if they can make it a one-stop race or if this is going to be a two-stopper. So we'll be following along here to see how that one's going to pan out. Things are still stacked up behind Rapp, Brian Brobst, Bryce Gainey, Nick Seraph, and now Clay Sampson all in a nice tidy line here. Now it looks like Brian Brobst going to try and make a move against Rapp. Clay Sampson, the number 87 machine, running 12th, currently our hard charger. He is up 4 spots so far this evening. That's Bryce Gainey, the number 18 Toyota, just ahead. Brian Brobst, Johnny Rapp, all in line here. Speaking of Brobst, looks like Robert Brobst has some momentum built up. He's trying to get around Abram Ghostin in the battle for 6, but the field's starting to get a little bit spread out here, except for Johnny Rapp and Brian Brobst, the 2 closest drivers out on track, frequently within 1/10 of a second. Looks like Brian, though, might have missed the mark a little bit, pushes wide in the target back, number 11. That's allowing Bryce Gainey, Clay Simpson to really reel in here. A little bit behind these guys, you've got Clifton Simmons, Nick Seraph linked up 13th through 14th. The 87 of Clay Sampson, he's made it 5 spots gained so far. And it looks like things are tightening up a little bit up front as well. Chris Smith has company from Chase Berry. We've got Noah Sampson joining us. He's saying the Sampson Cattle Co. machine looking quick out there. That's piloted by none other than Clay Sampson, the number 87 Chevrolet. Up 5 spots as he currently sits on our hard charger position. Smith trying to get some momentum built back up, closing that 3/4 of an advantage that Jacob Bradley has out front. Chase Berry qualified third in the 46, still sitting in third as he is using the draft off of Chris Smith to work his way a little bit further forward. And uh-oh, we've got problems. Chase Berry up into the safety barrier. He's going to lose just about a full second here to Chris Smith. And that is the joys of Darlington once these trucks get tight. It's tough to hold it down through the corner. The truck wants to push a little bit wide up towards the outside wall. And the more you try and wrestle with it, the tougher it gets. Sampson now up 6 positions, has worked that number 87 machine up into the top 10. He's got that 7 spot in his eyes with Johnny Rapp sitting 9th. Oh, I just saw somebody else tag the wall. Was that Brian Brobst, I wonder? No, it wasn't Brobst. It was Bryce Gainey. Yes, Gainey, the number 18 machine. Tagged the wall. Brian Brobst wisely checked up there, the number 11, to avoid getting involved with it. And everybody kept on rolling forward. Landon Bryant joining us. He's cheering on Clay Sampson. Enjoying the livery, the paint scheme Sampson's running here tonight. Let's see if we can find a nice tight angle. There we go. Sampson looking both good in that truck and fast. The Green Meadows back 87. Sampson quickly catching up to Johnny Rapp here. What's going to be the battle for 9th? Looks like Evan Pienza starting to catch up to Chase Berry in 3rd as well. So we might have a battle for the podium position starting to develop here shortly. As I think I just saw Bryce Gainey scraping the wall once more. Rapp still hold on to that half-second advantage. Chris Smith in 2nd. I want to point out he's staying right around that 6/10 to 7/10 of a second mark back from Jacob Bradley. I'm almost wondering if Smith thinks he has the pace, if he's going to lag back a little bit to avoid the dirty air off the back of Bradley's number 50 machine. When you're riding around nose to tail, can kind of tighten the truck up a little bit and cause the tires to wear a little bit prematurely. Doesn't look like Ellis Thomas is too concerned about it. He's tucked in behind Mr. Robert Brobst, the number 5. You can see 5th and 6th place Peter Stewart and Abram Ghost, and not too far ahead of these two linked up nose to tail. There goes Ellis Thomas working the inside line against Robert Brobst. During that same moment, Brian Brobst has gained a spot from Bryce Gainey. So 21 laps in. We'll give you an idea of the lap times. Last time by, your race leader, Jacob Bradley, at 30.41. His fastest lap of the race was a 29 flat. So already the driver's about 1.3, 1.4 seconds off their fastest lap of the race. This is where the tire wear and the strategy is going to become a factor for these guys. Ellis Thomas, Robert Probst once again side by side as we go 3 wide briefly with traffic. That was Paul Thomas, the number 42 machine, squeezed in the inside there. Luckily, everybody able to skate through nice and clean. A little bit further back, Clifton Simmons, Dave Grajewski having a battle for 13th. Simmons, the number 88 machine, up against the wall. Grajewski, the number 6. If he can make this stick against Simmons, that's going to be the second spot gain for Grajewski. Grajewski with a huge moment there. Losing the back end out of turn 2. Able to catch the slide. But that's allowing Clifton Simmons to close the gap right back up. Speaking of gaps, there is not much of one between one of the fan favorites, Clay Sampson and Brian Probst. Probst had closed that gap within a 1/10 of a second. Ricky Sexton is here cheering on Clay Sampson. Sampson's getting a ton of love from the fans out here tonight. I hear he's a Michigan native. I wonder what part. I could gamble a little bit here and say go blue and gold, but I don't quite know the audience on that one. Here comes Brian Probst off the back bumper of Sampson. Opts to fall in line. There's more traffic ahead with Paul Thomas, number 42, running 18th. Thomas hops out of the way there. That's allowing Sampson and Probst by as we go side by side. A big blink from looked like both drivers, both Brian Probst and Clay Sampson, had a little bit of a hiccup there with the connections. And Brian Probst definitely has the worst of it. It looks like in the number 11. Now, this is a tough spot for Sampson to be in, not knowing where Probst is going to reappear at. As something has happened to Evan Pienta as well. Pienta might have dropped connection, so I wonder, with all the sporadic blinking we have going on, if there might be some inclement weather causing issues for these drivers. Jacob Bradley isn't having issues. He's made it so there's only 13 drivers on the lead lap. Bradley rocking and rolling here. Bradley's going to be continuing to put on a clinic here. As we pan back, Johnny Rapp. We wondered if he had some sort of strategy that had him falling back to eventually plan on retaking those positions. Looks like he's carrying good pace here, as he is caught back up to Robert Probst, the number 5 machine. Rapp's going to take a peek to the inside line here, pulling along the number 5 of Probst. Diving into turns 3 and 4, side by side we go. The battle for 7th. And it looks like Rapp is going to get clear here and regaining one of those spots. So keep an eye on the number 52 machine. I would not be surprised for him to continue that forward momentum. Now Rapp currently about, looks to be 1 second back from Ellis Thomas. And it looks like everything's going smooth sailing. I'm a little bit surprised, but very impressed to see how smoothly things are going for these drivers. Now, tonight's main event scheduled for 56 minutes, flag to flag, not counting pit stops, not counting cautions. And we talked about the drivers. We're seeing some blinking out on track. Looks like we're seeing that here in the broadcast as well. A little bit of connection issues. I wonder if there's some storms across the country, maybe causing some woes, causing some issues. Just heard somebody dragging the wall here. Couldn't quite see where it was. Not seeing a crash report in the broadcast software. We do have two drivers very close out on track. You've got Clay Sampson and Bryce Gainey, 10th and 11th, separated by about a quarter of a second. Sampson, the number 87. Gainey, the number 18, as they catching up. They caught up, I should say, a little bit closer to lap traffic. Looks like Gainey was trying to make a move here. That is Nick Seraph. And I'm trying to see, I think Paul Thomas. Running 16th and 17th. Thomas in 16th, Seraph in 17th. Sampson and Gainey are trying to get their trucks around these two, but everybody else is battling for position. And while that's going on, we've got a battle for the lead. Chris Smith, for the first time in 35 laps, is going to fire back against Jacob Bradley, the battle for the lead. And somehow Chase Berry has been able to rejoin the fray here. So the top three separated by about 0.2 of a second. Chris Smith, now your new race leader. Here comes Chase Berry. Looking up to the inside line of Jacob Bradley in the battle for second. Now these three drivers have built up over just about a 4-second gap over Peter Stewart, who sits in fourth. And where did Jacob Bradley go? Bradley's going to come down pit road early, 36 laps in. So Jacob Bradley, the number 50, will be our first driver down pit road for a green flag stop. Let's see if anybody else follows. Now, right now, Bradley's still the only driver who's come down pit road. Peter Stewart, Robert Brobst, they're going to come down pit road for a green flag stop. Jacob Bradley rolls out of his pit stall in 14.45 seconds. So a full tank of fuel and 4 fresh tires all the way around. So now we've got a few different drivers on different pit strategies. Now, something has happened to Robert Brobst, the number 5. He's been in his pit stall for 24 seconds. Peter Stewart was in his stall for 19.72. Brobst rolls out after 27.5 seconds. So he definitely had some sort of issue there on pit road. And we've only had just a few drivers who have pitted here. Nick Seraph is down for a green flag stop. Chris Smith continues to rack up the laps led. Now, Seraph actually showed involved in some sort of incident, followed by a tow. So let's see what happened to the 67. Looks like he was really fighting with the truck there. Let's see if we can get that one more time. Did Seraph have a hardware issue? Or did he just push a little bit wide all on his lonesome? Looks like he pushes wide. I'm not sure if he had some suspension damage from the initial contact. It looks like the truck still wants to keep going right, but Seraph has also had his fair share of hardware issues, but absolutely pulverizes the number 67 machine. Ryan Brobst, Robert Ryan White, Steve Vest all down pit road. And so far, still going great. If we go back to third, we've got a battle for that podium spot. Abram Ghostin under fire from Johnny Rapp. Rapp working the inside line. So now your top three: Chris Smith, Chase Berry, Johnny Rapp. 1, 2, 3. So it looks like right now your top 9 drivers have all yet to pit. Chris Smith stretching the run out here has made it where there's only 9 drivers on the lead lap. Looks like Bryce Gainey, Clay Sampson going to come down pit road together. As it looked like that's Brian Brobst getting one of his laps back here, the number 11. Now, I'm keeping an eye out on Jacob Bradley, the number 50 machine, showing a lap down. He was one of the first drivers to pit on lap 36. How is the different strategies going to play out here tonight? I see another battle underway. Dave Grajewski, Clifton Simmons. Simmons working the outside line against Grajewski. Grajewski's going to tuck in behind the 88. Both drivers showing up 8 positions, but neither has come down pit road, and about 3 seconds behind them, Mr. Jacob Bradley is closing the gap rather quickly. Handing back to Grajewski, running along the apron here. He might be getting set up for a pit lane party. We had another incident reported, though. It's going to be Bryce Gainey involved in a crash, but he immediately takes a tow back to pit road, so does not bring out the caution. Let's see what happened to the number 18 machine. Well, what just happened there? He pulls over, takes a tow back to pit road, and says, all right, see you later, everybody. Sam Stoner joined us in the spectator area. Bummer we couldn't see him out on track here tonight, but always cool to have Sam join us in the spectator area. Your race leader, Chris Smith, getting chased down by Chase Berry. Yeah, I got to agree with Stoner. I don't know if Grajewski maybe got lost out on track. And here we go, the battle for the lead. Chris Smith under fire from Chase Berry. 6 drivers on the lead lap. It's showing. Your top 5 drivers have all yet to pit here. Oh, Sam Stoner, too nice to us up here in the broadcast booth. 2 closest drivers out on track, Chris Smith, Chase Berry. Looks like Smith able to pull a little bit of an advantage there, back to about 4/10 in his favor. Very curious to see when they're going to come down pit road. It looks like Bradley's closing the gap. He's right about 26.5 seconds right now. Running just almost 2 seconds faster. It looks like 1 second faster per lap than the race leaders. So we've got two very distinct strategies out on track right now. Bradley on schedule for a 2-stop race. Looks like our top 5 might try and make this a 1-stopper. We've got Dustin Bali joining us in the spectator area. So we've got some heavy hitters joining us trackside, critiquing their friends, making their way around Darlington. Dustin Bali, a road race ringer, saying, if there's no Sam Stoner and no Sean Johnson out on track, how can we call this a Rio Crown Jewel Darlington? That's easy. We've got 19 other drivers that showed up. Looks like 16 of those are still out on track. Dave Grajewski is going to come down pit road for his first time, the number 6. Chase Berry still hanging out about a half second from Chris Smith. And it looks like Berry is going to get set up for a pit stop here. Drivers being displayed the cross, green and white flag signaling the halfway mark. Ooh, Berry was very hard on the brakes there. I'm hoping he didn't get a speeding penalty. We will know shortly. Smith, wrap all down pit road. We're keeping an eye out to see Chase Berry. I think Berry had some sort of problems here. No, he's out in 15 seconds. So far looks good. Everybody in the top 4 is down pit road. Jacob Bradley is going to lap his way back up to the front. And taking back over the race lead, the number 50 machine. This is going to be interesting. Bradley's going to be on 20-lap older tires than the other drivers who are rolling out of pit road. So Chase Berry was in and out of his pit stall 15 seconds, 15.2 seconds. So it looks like he managed somehow, I don't know how, but was able to avoid a penalty on that pit entrance. So Peter Stewart, another driver who's on that lap 36, 37 strategy, he's going to come out on track, stay out on track in second place. Chase Berry with the lap 55 pit stop right at the halfway mark showing third, but he's about 24.5 seconds back from Jacob Bradley. Looks like Berry's still sitting right at that 24-second mark back from Bradley. But we know Bradley's going to come back down pit road. We'd estimate around lap 70 or so. Meanwhile, Chase Berry in third, Chris Smith in fourth. We know they can stretch this thing out till the end. And going back, Chase Berry. He's got company. Chris Smith was very fast. The number 28 machine is going to take back over that third place spot. They're still sitting around 23.3 seconds back from your race leader, Jacob Bradley. So Smith now up into third. Let's see how quickly he whittles away at that gap against Bradley. After his pit stop, he was about 25, 26 seconds back from Bradley. So that means by the end of this, if Bradley pits with Smith having less than a 25-second lead, in theory, that's going to put Bradley back out front, but that's a whole lot of maybes here at Darlington. Also paying a little bit further back, Clay Sampson, who got a whole lot of love from the fans earlier on, has lost a spot to Abram Ghost in that number 22 machine. There's Sampson in the 87. He's still our hard charger, though. Up 7 spots so far here tonight. And let's go back to Jacob Bradley, your race leader. He's made it so there's only 6 drivers on the lead lap right now. Chris Smith has company. It looks like it's going to be Peter Stewart, our fastest Canadian, and the number 1 machine, 91 machine, I should more say, aptly say. So you got a little bit of a pack starting to tighten up here. You've got Chris Smith, Peter Stewart, Chase Berry. Sam Stoner's throwing his support behind Johnny Rapp, who has just made a pass for 5th. So Rapp on the long haul game. Another one of those drivers that's going for a one-stop strategy. I'm very intrigued to see how the different strategies are going to pay out here right now. Rapp, he's about 25 seconds back from Mr. Jacob Bradley. And I just got a report we had somebody else taking a tow back to pit road following an incident. This time it's going to be Robert Ryan White, the number 17. What happened here? White has a pretty banged up race truck, but we didn't see him tied up with any sort of incident, so we're not quite sure what happened to Robert Ryan White on that one. But it looks like he's going to join the list of drivers who have retired early. Now, while this run's been going on, we got 40 laps left to go, a little bit shy now as Bradley crosses the line. Chris Smith is methodically closing the gap up behind, but I don't know if it's enough. Bradley, if he stays true to form, should be coming down pit road rather quickly. Well, Robert Ryan White giving us the answer. He says, and I quote, "I hit a wall." I don't know much about racing trucks. I just call the action, but I've got to say, if you tag a wall, that's probably not the fastest way around. Chris Smith in second, closing the gap, now 14 seconds back. When is Jacob Bradley going to come down pit road for that one final stop here at Darlington? We do have a few drivers battling here. A 3-truck battle for 8th. Ellis Thomas, Clay Sampson, Robert Bropes putting on a show here, running nose to tail, briefly hinting at some 3-wide action. Ellis Thomas is going to come out on top there in the Ford F-150. Clay Sampson still sitting in 9th, up 7 spots from where he started. Robert Bropes there lagging behind. He's going to hold on to the top 10 as long as he can. Looks like we have some posturing going on from the spectator area. Those sitting on the bleachers on the front row. We've got a couple different camps forming up. We got a bunch of folks here for Johnny Rapp. We've got a ton of folks here for Clay Sampson. Really cool seeing all the fans get involved with this one. Now, even though we've went green for 75 laps so far, we do have this second round of pit stops. Robert Bropes, the number 5. He's going to be one of the first drivers down pit road. There goes Jacob Bradley down pit road. So now all eyes switch over to Chris Smith. How far ahead is he going to be of Bradley? And is Bradley going to have enough time here to track back down the number 28 machine? So let's see how this pans out. Chris Smith is going to stay out. Thank you, Landon. I appreciate that. Smith stays out. Barry and Rapp are on this one-stop strategy. Jacob Bradley returns to the racing service. He's going to be about 35 seconds back from Smith, and he's going to be a lap down. So Bradley is going to have his work cut out for him here. Doing a little bit of napkin math, he needs to get just about a second of a lap faster than Smith to round out this race and finish up top. So I'm excited. Smith, Berry, and Rapp, 1, 2, 3. Bradley with a big gamble here. We've got Steve Sampson cheering on Clay Sampson, number 87. Clay now up 9 positions. Now, Clay's kind of an alternative strategy here. We saw a large portion of the field come down on lap 35 to 36. The other portion of the field around lap 55, 56 for a one-stop schedule. Sampson came down pit road at lap 44, so I'm not quite sure what strategy he's going to be going for here. If I'm doing my broadcast math correctly, which I'm usually not, that's going to show Sampson about 10 laps short on fuel. Brian Brobst down pit road for the second time here tonight. Clay Sampson, he's down pit road for his final time. So on that alternative strategy, Brian Brobst rolls back out on track. So give you guys an update. Jacob Bradley has closed within 29 seconds of Chris Smith. And right now, I can willing to bet that Smith is just keeping his nose clean, focusing on hitting his marks, navigating traffic as cleanly as he can. And let's wait for the lap times to update here. Smith, a 30.83. We're going to keep an eye out to see what Jacob Bradley does as he is back on the lead lap now. "25 laps left to go. Darlington, the Spark Truck Series crown jewel. Bradley's last time by a 29.29. Over a second faster than Chris Smith is able to do up here in the race lead. This is going to be very, very close here. Bradley and Smith are trying to time everything perfectly. Now a 24.6 second gap between Smith and Bradley. 23 laps left to go. If somehow Jacob Bradley can make this happen, I think it's going to be very, very close down to the wire, and that's without any late race cautions really throwing a wrench and everything. Now, Bradley can rest a little bit easy here, knowing that he is on the lead lap. So if there's an incident that he's not involved with, he's not going to be trapped a lap down. There goes Jacob Bradley working his way up into fourth against Abram Ghostin. So So Bradley now showing 22.7 seconds back from Smith. Bradley closing the gap. He's now about 11.6 seconds back from Johnny Rapp. Oh, this is going to be good here. Starting to close the gap a little bit further back. Dave Grajewski and Robert Brobst are going to have a very quick battle for 8th as Brobst takes over the spot. Now here comes Brian Brobst as Grajewski hung up to dry against the wall. So both the Brobst family members able to get around Dave Grajewski in the number 6. We pan back over to Jacob Bradley. He's now within 9 seconds of 3rd place Johnny Rapp, but still 20 seconds off the back of Chris Smith. Has Smith got the strategy dialed in here, or does Bradley have enough left in the proverbial tank to make it till the end? Bradley's got about 20 lap fresher tires than everybody out on track that's still in front of him here. The lap's starting to click off. Smith still 18 seconds ahead. Last time by, Bradley with a 29.9. He was 1.1 seconds faster than Chris Smith, who clicked off a 30.99. But there's a little bit of traffic on the horizon for Bradley, and that could slow his run down here. Conversely, he is picking off the draft of, I believe that's going to be Peter Stewart, the 91. That's going to help pull that number 50 machine forward just a little bit. 16 laps left to go. Bradley 16.6 seconds back from Chris Smith. Oh, this is going to be anybody's guess on how this is going to go. Let us know out there. Do you think Jacob Bradley has the time and the pace to track down Chris Smith? Sam Stoner, he thinks Bradley's got it. Bradley's run stalls a little bit slightly. He's still 5.4 seconds off the back of Johnny Rapp. The field very spread out at this point, at least for those that are on the same lap. You'll see clusters of drivers here and there getting closer and closer, but they are more than likely drivers that are on a different lap out here. I agree with Stoner. I don't think anybody is going to let it by easy, but the gap is still dwindling to Chris Smith. It's 12 laps to go, but 12.9 seconds in the favor of Chris Smith. Has Bradley used up his tires? He's about 1.2 seconds faster than your race leader. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are rapidly running out of time here. And that is another thing. That's not going to leave Bradley any time if he does catch up to Chris Smith the way he is progressing forward. And I don't know if Chris Smith has been able to save much here with those older tires. But he's got Chase Berry behind him about a second and a half back. Smith has been having to navigate traffic here as well. Paul Thomas, the number 42 machine, unfortunately, he's coming in for a second late stop. So I think the next upcoming battle we might see is possibly Berry catching up to Chris Smith. They're on the same tire strategy. If not, it's going to be Bradley catching up to Johnny Rapp, trying to dethrone that number 52 from a third place spot. We got Ricky Sexton nicely requesting to show Clay Sampson's paint scheme on that number 87. And how's that good timing as Sampson gets one of his laps back from Chris Smith, the race leader. And now Sampson's going to try and track down Robert Probst, who's about 0.6 of a second ahead. 9 laps left to go here at Darlington for the crown jewel. 2 closest drivers we have out on track, Robert Probst in 9th, Clay Sampson in 10th. Separated by about a half second, you can just see Probst and the orange and white number 5 machine on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Here comes Clay Sampson charging forward in the 87. Chase Berry starting to track down Chris Smith. Your race leader has it within 1.1 seconds. Looks like a bobble there from Probst against the wall. That allows Sampson to take over the 9th place position. He's now up 7 spots. But this is about to get interesting. Chase Berry has closed it within 1 second of your race leader. 7 laps left to go. Jacob Bradley 10 seconds back from this upcoming battle for the lead. Bradley, I think, is in trouble unless Smith and Berry start racing hard here and slowing the pace down. Because Johnny Rapp in 3rd, number 52, he is going to defend with everything he has here to hold on to a podium spot. There goes Peter Stewart trying to get a lap back. Now Rapp has Bradley within 0.7 of a second of the back bumper of the 52. Rapp gets back on the loud pedal, extends that gap in his favor to 1.1 seconds. He really wants a podium here at the Crown Jewel at Darlington. We get ready to turn it over. 5 laps left to go. Chris Smith still 1.4 seconds up over Chase Berry. Johnny Rapp in 3rd, but he's got Jacob Bradley charging up behind. There's Bradley, the number 50 machine. He's down 2 spots from where he started. 5 laps left to go. Is there anything left here? Checking back in on Chris Smith, your race leader. 1.8 seconds up over Chase Berry. The rest of the field very spread out here. Only 6 drivers showing on the lead lap. I think that's Ellis Thomas ahead. The number 8 machine who's going to fight tooth and nail to stay on the lead lap. 4 laps left to go. And here are your 2 closest drivers out on track. Johnny Rapp in 3rd. Jacob Bradley in 4th. Bradley trying to mount a charge back up with the 2-stop strategy. But 1, 2, 3, Smith, Berry, Rapp. They're all on a 1-stopper here tonight. 3 laps left to go here at Darlington. And it looks like Rapp and Bradley, the only 2 drivers within 2 seconds of each other at this point. Smith has pulled back a 2-second advantage in his name as the race lead. Rapp has Bradley within 0.3 in the final battle for 3rd. 2 laps left to go here tonight. White flag will be out next time by for Chris Smith. If the race leader can take the white flag, we will not have any cautions tonight. which is quite the achievement for these drivers, especially at tracks such as Darlington. Bradley looks for an opening against Rapp, gets a little bit loose there out of turn 2. White flag is out here at Darlington. Chris Smith's going to lead our field around one more time as we wait to see, can Johnny Rapp defend and hold on to the final podium position here. A half lap left to go for Chris Smith, the number 28 Ford F-150. We have a Toyota in second with Chase Berry. Johnny Rapp sitting in third. We pan over to our race leader. Chris Smith makes his way out of turn 4 for the final time. Chris Smith qualified on pole, picks it up and makes the win here at Darlington. Chase Berry gets second, and it's going to be Mr. Johnny Rapp rounding out the top 3. We're going to get our top 3 drivers up here to victory lane. And Chris Smith's going to put on a show for the fans, a well-deserved win in that number 28 machine. Start to finish, green flag all the way around. And a big, big win for Chris Smith. 2.3 second advantage at the wire. And always a very clean truck out there. We're waiting on Chris Smith, Chase Berry, and it looks like we've got Johnny Rapp joining us. As Chris Smith absolutely burning it down here today, a very well-deserved win. We're going to start things off with Mr. Johnny Rapp. Join us in the 3rd place spot. Johnny, it was a one-stop strategy. You stayed committed, but surely those eyes were getting big in the final moments as Jacob Bradley was working through the field here.
Yeah, they were. I called it lap car an awful time. I don't know if you all saw it. He got in the wall, and then he was taking up the whole track. So I went to the apron to get by him. I think it was like 3 or 4 to go. I thought that was it for me. So, but
now, Johnny, I was going to ask, in that opening run, it seemed like you were falling back. I mean, you lost up to 4 or 5 positions at one point, but was that a tire strategy we saw in play?
Yeah, so I thought everybody else was going to do 2 stops. I know most of them did, but I figured if I'm doing 1, I better, 1, make sure I have enough gas, and 2, save my tires a little bit, and I could pile it on at the end of the run. And that seemed to work a little bit. I think I got up to about 4 seconds to Chris and Chase before they pitted. And man, I don't know. It probably should have sent it a little harder on the first run, but yeah, I had to feel out what was going to happen there. So.
Well, it definitely worked out well in your favor. A strong podium finish here tonight. Some great points for you in that 52. And before I let you go and unwind from a grueling crown jewel, who do you want to give a shout out to that helped make it happen?
Yeah, well, my dad, I know he's watching it, right? And you for putting on the broadcast. All the guys out there, man, I mean, people trying to get out of the way and all that, like very respectful. And I mean, there's a couple times there were some close calls, but overall, great job by everybody tonight. And we'll see you next week.
Well, Johnny, always a pleasure, buddy. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll have you back up here at the next one.
Right on.
That was Mr. Johnny Rapp. Join us up in the 3rd. And next we have Chase Berry potting the 46. Chase, I mean, it was a commitment to the strategy. And all of you guys in the podium, it seemed like you made the perfect call here tonight.
Yeah, this one pit stop felt like it was the right thing to do.
Now, Chase, with that strategy being in play, how nerve-wracking is it when everybody's kind of midway through a pit cycle and you've got drivers with different tires on lead laps, laps down, and just hoping that there's not a late race caution to throw a wrench in everything?
It was all right. We had enough guys lap down, so if there was a caution, we had enough tires. Like we had another set just sitting around, so we could just bolted them on. Had like a little shootout between 3 or 4 of us. So it wouldn't nothing crazy. And just a lap down is just blowing by you like they're winning, kind of frustrating. But other than that, it was pretty fun.
Now, Chase, were you surprised to see things go caution-free here tonight at Darlington, especially compared to races we've had in the past?
I would say so. Like I know, everybody did a great job, not wrecking and letting strategy evolve. Making it whether or not it's a one pit stop or 2 pit stop.
Well, it seemed like it worked out well. It was a ton of fun for us to call up here in the booth with different strategies. Always cool having you up here back in victory lane, grabbing that second place spot. And before I let you go, Chase, who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make it happen for you?
For you putting it on, everybody back at Payday, Justin, Randy, well in the other league, Randy, but Justin, Johnny, Chris Hole, and all the boys. Have fun, enjoying it.
Awesome. Chase, always a pleasure, bud. Good to have you up here, and hopefully we'll have you up here next week as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. That was Chase Berry bringing out home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Smith. Welcome back to the top spot. And man, what a great run for you in that 28.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it was just talking with Chase and Johnny. It was dicey there a few times. Everybody on different agendas, but we were able to get up through there and sort of dodge everybody that was coming on fresh tires and the guys that were on old tires. It definitely made it interesting there those last probably about 30 laps.
Now, Chris, I'm looking at your driver profile image. Is that Harambe that you have?
Yeah, it is.
I'll never forget. But Chris, so
Exactly.
you guys stayed, you guys in the top 3 stayed committed to that one-stop strategy. We've seen so many races in the past here at the Spark Truck Series have a late race caution. Somebody has a little bit of a bobble and brings out the yellow. Were you worried that was going to happen tonight and kind of undo that long-run work you had been putting in?
Yeah, for sure. I was concerned about it. I was less concerned, I think, on that final stint when we had lapped everybody, I think, up to 6th. And I knew that, there were some guys who had already taken their last set of tires and, a few of us still had a set left. So I felt pretty good when we got to that point. But yeah, I didn't want to caution. This track's a little bit unique in the sense that the apron is so massive. So if you have a little bit of trouble, hopefully it'll, happen down there and we won't get a yellow. But yeah, everybody was, doing a really nice job out there. And, to go 110 laps around Darlington without caution, that's pretty impressive feat. So the guys here, they should be proud.
Now, I just checked. You're currently our points leader after tonight. So walking into the final 2 rounds with a very healthy points lead. Let me double check that. I'm not really good at math in the broadcast booth. No, I'm terrible at math. You're actually going into the next rounds second in points, including the drop weeks, 35 points back from Jacob Bradley. So what's the plan with the remaining 2 rounds to try and sneak away a championship at the end of the Spark Truck Series?
Well, the best we can do is just go out and kind of do what we did tonight, win the pole, lead a lot of laps, and win the race. But it's gonna take a miracle. Chicagoland, I think, is next week. That's kind of a, I don't really know how that's gonna play out in these trucks. I wouldn't feel very good about myself there. Phoenix has always been a pretty good track for me. I would feel a lot better there in the last race. It's gonna take a miracle because Jacob's just he's on point every single week, and even if he doesn't win, he's top 5 like he is tonight. So yeah, it's gonna take some bad luck on his part, and a couple of max points nights for me. But I just want to go out here and try to win. That's all I want to do.
Well, easy enough. Chris, always a pleasure, buddy. And tonight you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen here at Darlington?
I want to give a shout out to Tommy and all the folks over at Apex Energy for their support. My teammates, Ellis Thomas, Paul Thomas, Steve Vest. Congrats to them for Ellis, I think, finished 6th tonight, and Paul and Steve saw the checkered flag. So Want to give them a quick shout out. Want to give a shout out also to you for doing a great job with the broadcast. All the admins at Spark, the drivers here in Spark for an impressive feat tonight. And yeah, everybody for watching.
Awesome. Chris, always a pleasure, buddy. Super cool to have you back up here, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in the final 2 rounds.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir. That was Chris Smith bringing it home in the top spot. He was accompanied by Chase Berry in second and Johnny Rapp rounding out the top 3. On behalf of the Spark Truck Series here at the Spark Racing League, my name has been James Eastwood, Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Wednesday night with us, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.